The sound of sobbing echoed through the hallway as Michael Parker stood frozen outside his daughter's bedroom door, his heart breaking with each muffled cry. 12-year-old Emma had come home with another torn backpack, her eyes downcast, refusing to speak about what happened at school. This wasn't the bright-eyed child who once couldn't wait for Monday mornings. Something had to change, and tonight, it would. If you've ever felt helpless watching someone you love suffer, this story might resonate with you. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories that remind us of the strength of the human spirit and the lengths we'll go to protect those we love. Michael Parker had always considered himself a problem solver. As an architectural engineer, he built solutions for a living, calculating load-bearing weights, designing structures that would stand the test of time. But nothing in his professional training had prepared him for the weight now crushing his daughter's spirit. "Emma," he called softly, knocking on her door. "Can I come in, sweetheart?" The sobbing quieted, followed by a barely audible, "Okay." Michael pushed open the door to find Emma curled up on her bed, clutching the stuffed elephant he'd given her on her 8th birthday. Her room, once plastered with colorful artwork and science fair ribbons, had gradually become a retreat, a place to hide rather than a space to dream. "Bad day?" he asked, sitting on the edge of her bed. Emma nodded, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. "I don't want to talk about it." Michael noticed a dark stain on her light blue sweater, the new one they'd picked out together during their back-to-school shopping trip just 2 months ago. "What happened to your sweater?" "I spilled my juice at lunch," she mumbled, but wouldn't meet his eyes. He'd heard enough variations of this excuse over the past few months. The accidental spills, the clumsy falls, the homework that mysteriously ended up in puddles. Michael had raised Emma alone since his wife Sarah died from cancer when Emma was 7. They'd weathered that storm together, finding a new normal in their shared grief. But this slow erosion of his daughter's confidence, felt like losing her all over again. "Emma," he said gently, "I can't help if I don't know what's happening." She looked up at him, her face crumpling. "You can't fix this, Dad. You'll just make it worse." The words stung, but Michael recognized the fear behind them. "Try me," he said. And finally, the dam broke. Allison Reeves had ruled the 7th grade at Westlake Middle School since the first day. Tall for her age, with perfect hair and a father who was the school board president, she wielded her popularity like a weapon. Emma, with her second-hand clothes and quiet intelligence, had become her favorite target. "She calls me orphan girl," Emma whispered, the words catching in her throat. "She tells everyone not to be my friend because dead mom germs might be contagious." Michael felt a white-hot anger surge through him, but he kept his expression neutral. "How long has this been happening?" "Since the beginning of the year. But it got worse after I got the highest score on the science test last month." The pieces fell into place: Emma's sudden stomachaches on school mornings, her declining grades, her request to quit the science club she'd once loved. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Michael asked, though he already knew the answer. Emma shrugged, picking at a loose thread on her bedspread. "You're always so tired from work. And..." She hesitated. "Allison said if I told anyone, she'd make sure nobody ever talked to me again." Michael pulled his daughter into a hug, feeling her thin shoulders shake against him. "I'm never too tired for you," he whispered into her hair. "Never." That night, after Emma had finally fallen asleep, Michael sat at his kitchen table, staring at his laptop screen. He'd already drafted and deleted 3 different emails to Emma's teacher. Each one felt inadequate, too formal for the rage and helplessness churning inside him. He'd called the school twice before about incidents, only to be told they would look into it. Nothing had changed. If anything, the bullying had escalated. Michael closed his laptop and rubbed his tired eyes. Tomorrow, he decided. Tomorrow he would take a different approach. Principal Harriet Wilson was not accustomed to parents showing up without appointments, especially not at 7:30 in the morning. But Michael Parker had been waiting in the parking lot when she arrived. "Mr. Parker," she said, unlocking her office door. "This is unexpected." "I apologize for the intrusion," Michael replied, his voice calm but firm. "But I need 10 minutes of your time regarding my daughter, Emma." Principal Wilson gestured to a chair across from her desk. "Of course. Is everything all right?" "No," Michael said simply. "Everything is not all right. My daughter is being systematically bullied, and despite 2 phone calls to the school, nothing has been done." Principal Wilson's expression tightened slightly. "Bullying is a serious accusation, Mr. Parker. We have anti-bullying protocols in place." "Protocols that aren't working," Michael interrupted. He placed his phone on her desk and played a recording of Emma's tearful account from the night before. When it finished, the office was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. "I wasn't aware the situation was this severe," Principal Wilson finally said. "That's the problem," Michael replied. "No one is aware because no one is looking. I understand you have hundreds of students to worry about. I have one. And she matters more to me than anything in this world." Principal Wilson leaned forward. "What exactly are you asking for, Mr. Parker?" "3 things," Michael said, counting on his fingers. "First, I want a meeting with Allison Reeves and her parents. Second, I want the school's anti-bullying policy actually enforced. And third, I want assurance that my daughter can come to school without fear." "Mr. Reeves is the school board president," Principal Wilson said carefully. "He's a very busy man." Michael's expression didn't change. "So am I. But I'll make time for my daughter. Shouldn't he do the same?" The meeting was set for Friday afternoon. Michael took the day off work, spending extra time that morning helping Emma choose an outfit that made her feel confident, her favorite jeans and the NASA t-shirt they'd bought during their summer trip to the Kennedy Space Center. "You don't have to do this, Dad," Emma said as they drove to school. "I can handle it." Michael glanced at his daughter, noting how she'd started biting her nails again, a nervous habit she'd developed after her mother died. "You shouldn't have to handle it alone," he said. "That's what I'm here for." The conference room felt smaller than it was, with Principal Wilson at the head of the table, Michael and Emma on one side, and the Reeves family on the other. Robert Reeves wore an expensive suit and a perpetual frown. His wife, Diane, sat perfectly poised beside him. Allison, between them, looked nothing like the tormentor Emma had described, just a 12-year-old girl with carefully styled hair and a wary expression. "Thank you all for coming," Principal Wilson began. "We're here to discuss some concerning interactions between Allison and Emma." Robert Reeves cleared his throat. "Before we begin, I want to make it clear that my daughter has never been in trouble before. She's a straight-A student and class president. And my daughter," Michael said quietly, "used to love coming to school until she became the target of your daughter's cruelty." Allison's eyes widened, and she looked quickly at her father. "That's a serious accusation," Robert said, his voice hardening. "It is," Michael agreed. He turned to Emma. "Would you like to tell them what's been happening, or would you prefer I do it?" Emma straightened in her chair. "I can do it." For the next 5 minutes, Emma spoke without interruption, detailing months of torment, the name-calling, the exclusion, the accidents that weren't accidents at all. Her voice trembled but didn't break. "She told everyone not to sit with me at lunch," Emma said. "Yesterday she poured grape juice on my new sweater and said it was an improvement because at least now people would have something interesting to look at." Diane Reeves' perfectly composed expression faltered. "Allison, is this true?" Allison stared at the table. "Emma's exaggerating. We were just joking around." "Jokes are funny," Emma said softly. "This doesn't feel funny." Michael watched Robert Reeves' face as his daughter's denials grew increasingly unconvincing. The man was used to being in control, to having his authority unquestioned. But here, faced with the simple truth spoken by a 12-year-old girl, that authority meant nothing. "Allison," Robert finally said, his voice stern. "Look at me." When she did, he asked, "Did you really call Emma orphan girl and make jokes about her mother?" A tense silence filled the room. Then, almost imperceptibly, Allison nodded. The admission seemed to deflate Robert Reeves. He turned to Michael and Emma, his expression genuinely remorseful. "I owe you both an apology. This behavior is completely unacceptable, and I assure you it will be addressed at home." Michael nodded, appreciating the man's sincerity but knowing words alone wouldn't heal Emma's wounds. "What happens now?" he asked, looking at Principal Wilson. The solution wasn't immediate or perfect. Allison received 2 weeks of after-school detention and was required to participate in the school's peer mediation program. The Reeves parents enrolled her in counseling to address what they discovered was intense competitive pressure she felt to maintain her social standing. For Emma, the changes came gradually. Michael worked with her teachers to create a safety plan, ensuring she always had an adult to turn to if problems arose. He also enrolled her in a local martial arts class, not to fight, but to rebuild her confidence. Most importantly, Michael started volunteering at the school, first helping with the science fair Emma had almost abandoned, then joining the parent advisory committee where he advocated for stronger anti-bullying measures. One evening, about 3 months after their meeting with the Reeves family, Michael noticed Emma working intently at the kitchen table. "Homework?" he asked, peering over her shoulder. "Kind of," Emma replied. "I'm designing a buddy system for new students. Ms. Rodriguez said I could present it to the student council next week." Michael felt a surge of pride. "That's a great idea. What inspired it?" Emma looked up, her eyes clearer and more confident than they'd been in months. "There's a new girl in our class. Her family just moved here from Vietnam, and she doesn't know anyone. I saw her eating alone yesterday and remembered how that felt." Michael sat down beside his daughter. "So what did you do?" "I invited her to sit with me and Jade," Emma said, referring to a new friend she'd made in her martial arts class. "She's really good at math. We're going to study together on Thursday." Later that night, as Michael passed Emma's room, he noticed her door was open. The walls were once again covered with artwork and science projects. On her desk sat a framed photo of Emma with her mother, a picture she'd hidden away during the worst of the bullying, too painful a reminder of what she'd lost. Michael leaned against the doorframe, watching his daughter sleep peacefully. The journey wasn't over, there would be other challenges, other hurts to navigate. But tonight, in this moment, he knew they were going to be okay. 6 months later, Michael stood at the back of the school auditorium, watching Emma accept an award for her new student buddy program, which had been adopted not just by her school but by 3 others in the district. As she finished her speech, Emma looked out at the audience and said, "I want to thank my dad, who taught me that sometimes taking action doesn't mean fighting back, it means standing up and making things better, not just for yourself but for everyone." In the audience, Michael noticed Allison Reeves sitting with her parents. She was applauding along with everyone else, her expression thoughtful rather than resentful. After the ceremony, she approached Emma somewhat awkwardly. Michael couldn't hear what was said, but he watched as his daughter nodded, her posture relaxed and confident. The 2 girls wouldn't become best friends, some wounds take longer to heal, but they had reached a kind of peace. As they walked to the car afterward, Emma linked her arm through his. "You know what Mom used to say about bad days?" she asked. Michael smiled, remembering. "They're just that, days. They don't have to become your life." "Exactly," Emma said. "I think she'd be proud of us." Michael looked down at his daughter, stronger now, wiser, but still the same bright spirit who had once couldn't wait for Monday mornings. "I know she would be," he said. "I certainly am." Sometimes the greatest acts of courage aren't grand gestures but the quiet, persistent efforts of those who refuse to let injustice stand. Michael Parker didn't change the world, but he changed his daughter's world, and in doing so, helped her find the strength to change it for others. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe for more content that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit and the power we all have to make a difference, one action at a time.